Welcome back to my channel, Hoosier Outdoor 1969. I'm John. Today, I'm going to go over my beloved 308 that I've had for 25 years, roughly. Over the course of that time, I've actually here and there rebuilt it to what it looks like today. Also, please excuse the mess that you see underneath the table, though. My daughter's still in Christmas mode, so she's got all her presents scattered all over the place. All right, back to the rifle. What you see here started out as a Savage Model 12 in 308, which it's still 308. It's a pre-AccuTrigger. Hang on, guys. Excuse me. Choking on hairballs. Like I said, it's a pre-AccuTrigger, which some people like the AccuTrigger, some people don't. I can live with or without it. That little slot where the little safety lever is, I can feel that, so it messes with me. I'm used to just standard triggers. Anyway, when I bought the rifle, it actually came as a heavy barrel that had a 24-inch 1 in 10 twist stock barrel on it, and just a cheap plastic stock. From the get-go, it actually shot pretty good. Once I figured out a couple of the bugs that were in it. Like I said, the stock that was on it, I don't know if it was an original stock or if it's something somebody put on there, but it was a really cheap plastic stock that flexed real easy. So when I would shoot, because of the vibration, the stock and the barrel would tap each other, which would throw a shot off here and there. Nothing serious, you know. I'd get like 3 groups in a row of like an inch or better, and all of a sudden I'd get one that was like an inch and a half. Next group after that, it dropped to like 3/4. Once I figured out what was going on, I just wadded up some paper, or folded up some paper, stuck it between the barrel and the stock, and my fires quit happening. So the first thing I did to it was purchase the stock that you see that it's sitting in, which, if I remember correctly, it's a Stockade rifle stock. I know it has an aluminum bedding system in it, or molded into it, or aluminum chassis, whatever they call it, which helped out immensely going from the cheap plastic to that. It made my groups more consistent. But one thing I did notice after switching over to this, my cold bore shift, if I didn't account for it, it'd put me about a little over an inch group. As long as I remembered that, then I could compensate for it, so no big deal. But over time, trying this, that, and the other thing, I could never get rid of that cold bore shift. A friend of mine ended up betting his rifle, so I figured, what the hell, what can I lose? So I ended up betting this one here, and what do you know, my cold bore shot disappeared. All right, so as I said, if I remember correctly, it's a Stockade, kind of like a composite. It's mixed between fiberglass and, actually it is a fiberglass stock, now that I remember. Over the course of the years, I finally burned out the barrel that was on it. I don't know how many rounds that were on it before I bought it, but I know I put at least 20,000 through it, because I put about 1,000 a year. At the time, I put about 1,000 a year on it. So a couple years ago, I finally replaced the barrel. It has a 26-inch McGowan barrel with a 1 in 10 twist, and on the muzzle there, it's a 5/8 by 24. Got a Yankee Hill quick detach flash hider to go to. Now wait, I can put my muffler on it. I got an EGW 20-minute base and EGW rings. Now, before I got the scope that's on it now, I had a different scope on it, and plus another scope and another scope. I probably had like 4 or 5 different scopes on it, all 30 mil. This scope here is the Vortex Venom 5 by 25 by 56 with a 34 millimeter tube. I'll give you a view of the specs on the box here in a minute. I got a Rifle Basics trigger in it. I got it set at 2 pounds. Now with Savage, the way theirs is set up, because there's like set screws for it. So if you put a Rifle Basics in it, after you get it, before you go to do any adjustments or anything like that, Put some blue Loctite on it. Give it a little bit of time to start setting up so it keeps some friction there. Get your trigger set to where you want it, and then let it cure. I did not do that. Slam fires are not fun on a bolt action when you're not expecting it. I sent the bolt home. As soon as I dropped the handle down, thing went off. Now, my dumbass didn't learn on my 338 Lapua. I put a Rifle Basics trigger in it, and I did the same damn thing. I didn't put any Loctite on the set screws. And that's a big caliber to go bang when you don't want it to. So please, if you put a Rifle Basics trigger in, especially in Savage, I don't know what other models are like, but in Savage, make sure you put some Loctite on the set screws and let it cure before you go to the range. All right, safety out of the way. Initially it came with like a teardrop shaped bolt handle that suck, for lack of a better word. Nothing to grab hold of. It's so short that you pretty much got to take the rifle off your shoulder, to get a hold of that bolt handle. When I bought my 338, it had had a bolt handle on it that I like, which I know it as the 110BA bolt handle, which that's what it looks like. I got it on my 22-250 also. Let's see. All right. I got all that specs parts taken care of. Before I rebuilt it, like I said, I can get anywhere from minute to 3/4 minute groups, 5-shot groups at 100 yards. I thought that was pretty respectable, but I know after I burned the barrel out, 600 yards, I could still group pretty good, but over time they just weren't grouping like it was. And then when I would shoot at 1,000, like I said before, I finally cooked the barrel, I wouldn't do too bad with it. And then all of a sudden I'd hit 1 and then nothing. Next time I go out, I wouldn't hit anything at 1,000. So I would drop back to 6, and I noticed even at 600, my shots were kind of going all over the place. So that was my clue to finally swap out the barrel. Once I swapped out the barrel and finally got it broken in, my groups have just slowly been shrinking back down. I haven't put this on paper yet, just mainly because usually when I shoot it, I start at 6 and just flip-flop back and forth between 6 to 1,000. It shoots pretty consistent. I know one of these days, probably when it's warmer, because we actually just got out of single-digit temperatures. Yesterday was the first day that we were in the double digits for about a week. I don't go out when it's that cold. I mean, 1-2 degrees. There's people in other parts that gets way colder than that, but here in Indiana, in this area, I don't normally get that cold. All right, I'm going to pause this real quick so I can get a better view on the scope box so you can see that. I shall return. All right. See if I can get this to work good. All right. Like I said, it's a 34 millimeter tube, 15.25 inches, 35 ounces. The exit pupil, or eye relief, sorry about that. The eye relief is from 4 inches down to 3.7, which for me, it's pretty respectable. I don't have any issues seeing anything like that. You got your field of view at 100 yards, 21. Oh, okay, from min to max, so at minimum, which is 5, you got 21.2. When you're all the way up to 25 power, it's 4.7. Quarter minute adjustments. Travel per rotation. Elevation. Oh, no, okay, just travel per rotation is 25 minutes. So one full spin of the dial is 25 minutes. Total windage is 85 minutes. Okay. And total elevation without the red stop is 85 minutes. With the red stop zero system is 47. What that is just a little plastic ring that sets, once you got it zeroed, you pull your cap off. There's a little plastic ring that sets down in there, and then you put your cap back on. I do actually like the way scopes like this are set up, because like I said, once you got it zeroed, you just take a quarter or something, stick it in that little slot right there, which this actually came with a little plastic tool. Unscrew that, slip your cap, put it on 0, put your cap back on, or slide it back on, and then tighten that back down. Same thing with windage. So this scope here, when I bought it, was actually a used. Apparently somebody didn't like it and did a trade-in. But I initially bought one for my 338 and I liked it, and I was going to get another one for this one, and just happened to be good timing. Well, let me pause again so I can put this back on the stand. I'll be right back. All right. Now, as for the stock, like I said, it's if I remember correctly, it's a Stockade gun stock. When I first got it, it just had a little 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch recoil pad on it, fairly hard rubber. And just over the years, it kind of got a little harder, so I finally got around to replacing it. I believe it is a Limb Sabers butt pad. I can't remember for sure. As far as the stock itself, the only complaint that I had was on the adjustment here. When I got it, this is just round. Let me back up a little bit here. Yeah, these pins were round. So I'd get my cheek rest here set to where I wanted it. And then over the course of shooting, it would start to slide back down. Well, I figured out where the box screws here were hitting at. I just grabbed my angle grinder. Could have done a whole lot better job, but I just did it freehand and ground a flat spot all the way down. That way now, when I'm shooting, once I got it set, it stays. It might move just a little bit because, I didn't get those perfectly square and perfectly flat, but it does what I needed to do. It keeps my cheek weld where I need it to be. Now, I don't shoot without ear protection very often, so I got it set so I usually have it set for when I'm using, I got my Ear Pro on. All right. With the scope, like I said, it came with the sunshade, this piece down here, where my thumb is to the end, this little quick adjust lever here, the tool to unscrew your turrets, and then a 0 stop, which, like I said, it's just a little plastic ring. There's like a little roll pin that sticks up a little bit out of where the scope goes. That little plastic ring has a little groove cut in it. That way, once you got it on there, you slide it till it stops, and then you put your cap on. And then I think you got, when you get back to 0, I think you got maybe a minute extra travel. Now, let me look here real quick. Because I have a 300-yard 0, so about a minute and a quarter extra travel past 0. So that's acceptable. At least for me, that's acceptable, because once it stops, you're going to be just a little bit past your 0, so you can always put it right back on it. I got a 300-yard 0 on it. And I said that's just where I put it. Most of the time I'm shooting at 6 or out to 1,000. I don't usually shoot less than that for some weird reason with this one, but just over the course of the years, that's kind of what I got it geared towards, just shooting long distance. I know there's better calibers out there. My 260 is way better than this, even the 6.5 Creedmoor. As much as I hate to say it, is better than the 308. But for shooting long distance, I don't think you can go wrong with learning on the 308, because you really got to focus on what you're doing, just because you're shooting a brick instead of a little needle downrange. Once you get all that stuff figured out, going to other calibers, it becomes crazy simple. Like I said, in the 6.5 calibers in general, would be the Creedmoor, the Grendel, the 6.5 Swede, the 6.5 Arista, 260 Remington. The 6.5 calibers just shoot phenomenal anyways. I'm not sure who's credited with designing it, but I think they credit the Swedes with it. When they created that caliber, they did something right, and everybody likes it. I guess that's what they call a long for caliber bullet. So, anyways, getting off subject. Trying to think here. Go over my notes real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see, 26. Yeah. The only thing that I wish had on it, I wish I had which I kind of got one on there now, but I had a pick rail on the bottom. Because what I've noticed, Harris bipods, with the way they attach the swing stud, to me, it's not a super strong setup. I got a cheap UTG bipod on there right now just to hold it up. It's kind of designed, it locks in on the pick rail locks in on the sling stud, so it makes it pretty stable. I don't know, maybe down the road I might send my stock off to somebody and see if they can attach, if there's a way to attach a pick rail to it. And that might be a little out of my comfort zone to be able to do, but I don't know, I'll figure something out. So that's really my only complaint about it, is I don't have a pick rail up front, because I do prefer the 1911 style clamps over Harris. Not that there's anything wrong with the bipod itself, I just don't like their sling stud attachment. I know you can get a retro kit to change from a sling stud to a pick rail setup. I can't remember who makes it offhand. I'm thinking American Eagle, but that's not right. It's American something. One of my other hairstyle bipods, I put that on there. So, let's see. Is there anything on here that I would probably change? The only thing I would probably change is, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but I still have a stainless steel barrel nut on it. I probably would have went with a black one. But I know, so I mean, for the most part, I like the way it's set up. It does exactly what I want it to do. So like I said, anything I would change would just be cosmetic. I know eventually I do want to paint it so it's a little more similar in color and scheme to what the stock is. So it's kind of a tan stock, and it's got like spider webbing through it, light brown. Like I said, here in northern Indiana, our winters range from whiteout to mud. So, and I'm kind of I was looking for something that I could use season round. Like if I ever decided to go hunting with it, I'd be able to keep it blended in. Not that there's anything wrong with, an all black rifle. Most of my rifles are all black. As far as the scope itself, when it comes to glass, I know you get what you pay for. I think this Venom here is actually it's not super cheap, but it's not crazy expensive. I think my first one, I paid a little over $700 for it. But like I said, that was brand new. I don't remember offhand what I paid for this one. I think I only paid like $450, $500 for it, since it was a used. Vortex seems to have a pretty good reputation. The clicks on this are actually pretty solid, at least to me. I'm not very educated on what's mushy, what's solid, or what do they call tactile. As long as I can hear feel it click, then to me, that's, at least that part's okay. I know comparing this to some of my others, I can feel the difference between, a good solid one like this versus one that's not so solid. So I got a couple of scopes. Even though you can hear it click, you don't really feel it. This one here, for the most part, you can actually feel it. It's not super loud on the clicks, but you can feel it vibrate as you spin it. Let's see. I think that's, so I guess scope wise, the only thing that I could complain about, even with this quick turn on there, the power ring is still a little stiff. But I don't know, maybe that might be why somebody returned it. Who knows? Ring height, I think, because of being a 35 millimeter tube, I ended up having to go with a medium. So I get my scope actually up high enough so it wasn't touching the barrel. Maybe these are lows. I can't remember. But I do like EGW products. Like I said, I got this on my 308 here. On my 338, I think I got a 30-minute rail on that one. On my 22-250, I put an EGW. I think, yeah, on my 338, I got EGW rings too. On my 22-250, I think I got primary arms rings, which I think are actually pretty solid rings. I've only had one issue with one where I managed to strip it out, which I think was a fluke because I've used the rings before. On this one, I think I got them on my 260. I think. I can't remember. But I've had several sets of their rings, and I think they're pretty solid rings. Let's see. Anything else? That's all I can think of offhand on this, because I'm just kind of rambling at the moment. As I've stated before, I am a huge Savage fan. There are better rifles out there, but I think for the best bang for the buck, can't go wrong with Savage. Every Savage I've ever had, including my 2250s in general, just shoot good. But this one here, like I said, out of the box, I was getting minute groups all day long, even with the crappy stock that was on it. My 22-250 with the pencil barrel on it, I was getting, sub-minute groups. I could cover it with a nickel to a dime, depends on what kind of day I was having that day. My 338 shoots pretty good. It doesn't shoot so good up close. It kind of wanders a little bit, but once I get out there, it tightens up pretty good. So that's another. That one I did have on paper. That was to get it zeroed. I know they got a couple other, not necessarily new, but a couple other versions out. You got your. Well, like I said, I'm kind of rambling now, so I think I will end this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm hoping to be able to, at least post videos once a month. Like I said, between work, a busy munchkin, I don't usually have a lot of free time because life sucks at times. But anyways, thank you for watching my video. Hopefully you stuck it out this long. Like I said, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video.